Brilliance Audio presents The Heretic's Handbook by Jonathan Black, performed by Simon Mattox. Could I ever have trusted myself to behave well enough to become a clergyman? With the benefit of hindsight, I'm not sure, but when I went to university to study philosophy and theology, that did seem a possible path in life. In the event, and in the course of those 3 years as an undergraduate, the philosophy simply ate up all the theology. My philosophy tutor was an electrifying lecturer, often talked about as the cleverest man in Oxford, and I see now he was a sort of outrider for the new atheism. Anglo-American philosophy was fiercely and narrowly analytical and technical in those days. Idealism was a straw man to be knocked down, religion was under attack, and philosophy of life didn't even count as philosophy. I remember he told me that if I mentioned Jean-Paul Sartre in my final exams, I would fail. I found the loss of belief pretty devastating and continued to yearn for it. One of the things about a degree in philosophy and theology is that it makes you almost completely unemployable. I drifted for many years. I was searching for work and also for something to believe in. Eventually I found a job in a bookshop and then in publishing. I was supposed to be commissioning a commercial general interest list, but I sometimes used to slip in books on religion and the esoteric. I was becoming fascinated by the notion that the secret teachings in all the major religions say pretty much the same thing. I've written about this elsewhere, but eventually I was approached by the representative of a genuine stream of esoteric and initiatic teaching. This experience helped me to shape what I'd read about in books and resulted in The Secret History of the World. I wrote the book I'd been hoping to find in many years spent hanging round in second-hand bookshops. Not a history of esoteric thought, but history according to esoteric thought. Here was a history of the world in which Isis, Mary Magdalene, alchemists, and Rumi played vital parts in the evolution of humankind. I didn't try to prove anything in this history. That would have required whole libraries of books. I merely wanted to drag these secret teachings into the light of day and show that, although some of them might risk looking absurd, these ideas present altogether a coherent picture of the world, and one which is more or less the complete opposite of everything we've been taught in school or college. My wish for this history was for it to be a living, unfolding, imaginative vision. I hoped it might resonate with a few mystic misfits and help us identify one another. Then, just as I was finishing writing it, I met an extraordinary Irish woman who told me that angels had guided her to London to find me. She said she saw angels all the time. I soon discovered just what an unsettling and awe-inspiring person Lorna Byrne is. If we enter her orbit, we move into a world drenched in the supernatural, pulsating with it. It's perhaps a world we more readily accept if we read about it in a book like The Autobiography of a Yogi, or hear about it in connection with Mother Meera, for instance. But we tend to find it much harder to accept in a Western context, perhaps because there are fewer points of comparison. Matthew Fox, the American theologian and pioneer of creation spirituality, has compared her to Hildegard of Bingen. There are similarities too with Teresa of Avila and Catherine Emmerich. The Catholic hierarchy in Ireland is beginning to invite her to speak in churches, and her unique gifts have been recognized by senior Islamic theologians. I'm also increasingly struck by the fact that if you strip out local cultural colouring from Lorna Byrne's insights and teachings, they're remarkably similar to the teachings of Jewish seers and mystics, such as the Baal Shem Tov. This universality and this growing recognition by authorities is important, because if what she says is true, it has to be true universally, and it has to be defended from the accusation of insanity that these days hangs over all kinds of religious belief, especially where it acknowledges the supernatural.